Hey, what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it. Blake Baker was asked about Harold Perkins, and as we sit here a couple of days away from camp, I cannot help but be excited about what Harold Perkins can do this year. It's probably also because playing with LSU on NCAA 25, Harold Perkins is so much fun to play with. You know, like he's so good at rushing the passer, but you know what's actually really fun to do with him? Because whatever, like people are really good at getting the ball out of their hands anyway. Just drop Harold Perkins into coverage and just freestyle with him instead of rushing because he's so fast. And he showed his coverage skills last year where he has a high grade. Like, he can wreak havoc. But Blake Baker was asked about Perkins, and he said, quote, "We'll use him in a variety of ways. Any way that you can think about, because I think he could do it all." Sounds like me and Blake are on the same page. I think you can bring him off the edge. He can play an inside linebacker. But here's the part I want to pay attention to. He has grown exponentially. I don't think you use the word exponentially lightly there, right? That is a quote that is not just coach speak. If you wanted to do coach speak, it's, you know, Harold's had a solid camp. He's really coming along. I feel like the strides that he's taking are going to set him up for a really successful season. Like, there's a million ways to be positive about your player and not exorbitantly so. Blake Baker not shying away when it comes to what he thinks he's going to get out of Perkins. A variety of ways, any way you can think about, because he can do it all. He has grown exponentially. And I was thinking about this. What better stage than USC in Vegas, Sunday night national TV, for Harold Perkins to re-announce himself to the world? Going against an offensive line that I think is going to take a continued step back from even 2 years ago. They're really good 2 years ago, not as good last year. I think they're not going to be good again this year. The USC game plan can't really account for him and how he's going to be used. We talked about it yesterday. LSU with a bit of an advantage when it comes to game planning. Think of that they have the new defensive staff working new players in new ways, so USC can't know exactly how they're going to use Harold Perkins. Like, Harold Perkins could re-announce himself to the world, legitimize Blake Baker, and get all LSU fans freaking pumped up for the year coming up, and he could do it all in just 60 minutes.
So if you know Blake, and I think most LSU fans do, and we've had him on the show, and you probably get a sense that he's going to kind of tell you what he thinks. There's not going to be a lot of hiding from what he thinks. And, like, the plan for Harold Perkins, I believe him when he says that. I don't always believe coaches when they say stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, that means you're going to play him at nickel Sam again. He's not going to rush off the edge, and it's going to be more of the same. But I believe Blake Baker when he says that. And also, you can get creative with him because you have other linebackers that they can step up. If you need to move Harold Perkins around, well, they can step up. Yep. And if edge becomes a problem, now you're not going to specialize because, again, the body type, like Harold Perkins isn't an every down edge, just not what he's made for. Like, he is going to be a linebacker at the NFL level, but you can certainly, we've seen it. He's taken over games. He's won games by himself at Arkansas 2 years ago. So getting creative with him, because for me as an offensive player, if I'm trying to game plan for number 4 and I'm like, man, I don't know where in the hell this cat's going to be. Yeah. Like, for me, I got to try to figure out. And a lot of times, T, and you know this, what will happen is the offensive line and the offensive system is going to come out there and be like, hey, 4's down. Wherever 4's at, like, he's in our count, right? And so, like, you change the game from that because they got a game plan for you no matter where you're at. But if you line him up in, like, a nickel Sam role, I don't have to count him. If he comes off the edge, we'll deal with it. We'll throw hot off of it. But if you're creative with him, if you're bringing him through the A-gap, which we've talked about, if you bring him off the edge, then I got a game plan for him. And so basically you're dictating what I do based off what you're doing. Yeah. And that's what you always try to get as a defensive coordinator. You can do, I mean, again, like Blake said, right? Any way you can think about, because I think he can do it all. We'll use him in a variety of ways. I think you bring him off the edge. He can play inside linebacker. He has grown exponentially. Well, let's see it. Week 1, USC.
against Miller Moss. Miller Moss should be having nightmares about what Perkins is going to do to him.
I know that we got to go to break, and I know we talk about this often, but when I say like in the A-gap and with Harold Perkins and the offensive line, if you put double mug A-gap right there, okay, and I've got Harold Perkins and whoever, if it's Greg Penn, Whit Weeks, Wes Weeks, whoever, the offensive line's always going to go to who? They're going to go to 4.
Yeah.
Okay? You can get so creative. Knowing the offensive line is game plan for Harold Perkins, they're always going to, if you got 2 backers in the A-gaps, they're going to slide to him. It's always going to free your backer on back. And that coming from the A-gap in that position is always going to be, in my opinion, advantaged linebacker. So, again, you dictate what the offense does based off where you put Harold Perkins if you do it right. Now, if you don't, if you line him up in the same spot every single time, then you're not doing yourself any favors. It's a disjustice, actually, to what you can do. So, no, I want to see him everywhere, not just on the edge, not just at nickel Sam, not just at stag backer.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.